My name is Nirmal Khanal. I was born in Nepal and I moved to the US in 2008. So roughly I was around 3 to 4 years old. But this story goes way before me. So I'll tell you the story of my parents when they were in Bhutan. We had a lot of things. We had land, we had animals. Our life was really good there. But because of the king of Bhutan, because of all these political reasons, because of all the hate in Bhutan, we became refugees in Nepal, where we lost almost everything. I was born in the refugee camps in Nepal, and I don't know much about it, but I do know that my parents struggled a lot. And then growing up in the United States, I had a lot of hardships because I could not adjust to the United States ideals. I mean, it was really hard to get into the culture. Even though I was young, right? People expect you to fit in really easy when you're young, but it really isn't. Because when we go to school, we learn all the cultures of the US, but when we go back home, it's so different, right? So there's also a communication barrier between our parents, our grandparents, and that's why it's really hard to connect with my parents, my grandparents, and the people here in the United States. I don't accept the Bhutanese king as a real king because I think he feared the Nepali people, right? I feel that he feared that the people were getting too smart for the country, and he wanted to get rid of them. So I don't think that's what a true leader should be. He should use people's strengths to further the country, to bring it up, but he just kicked everybody out. So I don't believe the Bhutanese king is a real king. I can't say that, I don't believe he's a king, but I don't believe he is Hitler either. See, the thing is, I don't know much about the king of Nepal, and I haven't really experienced anything there in Bhutan because I was never born there, right? I cannot put judgment on this person if I haven't lived or I haven't experienced what happened. The only thing I know is certain stories that my parents or grandparents have told me. So Hitler or king, I don't believe he's neither. To me, I have no real connection to that king of Bhutan. I feel like if he says he's going to, forgive us and let us come back, then I expect us to have land there, a house there, everything for compensations so we can actually live there, because land is very expensive, right? We can't just move from the US, move back to Bhutan, and then start our life again, right? We've built so much in the US, so why would we just pack our bags and leave for somebody who just kicked us out, right? So if they said we can live there, then I expect compensation. What questions would I ask him? What was he thinking? What was going in his mind when he wanted to get all the Nepali people out? Definitely some anger in my heart, not because I was there, but what happened to my grandparents and my parents. I wouldn't go out in frustration. I wouldn't try to be aggressive and fight him. Obviously he's the king, but I would like to talk to him. I would like to ask some questions, and I would like to understand what was he feeling, what was he going through to kick out all these Nepali people out of that country. I think there's still some Nepali people there. I think it's because they, kind of converted into the ideals of the Bhutanese king. And I've heard that there was political issues going on there, so people who did not want to convert into those ideas were kicked out. And when I think about that, when you said that, he kind of does sound like Hitler. Because what Hitler did was he rallied up a bunch of people, right? And he spreaded hate about one group, right? The Jews. And he told people, why don't you have these things, these stores, these businesses? It's because of the Jews, right? And he sent them all into concentration camps, and he killed them. He created a genocide, right? And I'm not saying the king of Bhutan was exactly like that, but in some regards he comes pretty close to Hitler. In the United States, there is no king, there's no monarchy. Right now, it's President Biden. So we have a democracy. We have freedoms here in the United States. And I guess if we want to compare, I guess the king here is Biden. At our house, we don't really discuss that. I mean, a lot of people just left that stuff in the past. I think some people still have a lot of hate in their heart because I mean, those are lived experiences, right? I mean, the journey of my dad, has it affected me? I feel like a lot of immigrants that come at a young age or even a little bit older to the US, they have a little difficulty adjusting to the United States culture, right? So I feel like that was a big part. Like, I had a hard time adjusting to the culture. And another big problem in the Nepali community is mental health, because I feel like we don't really understand what mental health is, or maybe some people don't care about it or believe it, right? We believe that it's fake, right? We can just keep pushing on, keep working harder, and things will get better, right? But mental health is very serious, and a lot of Nepali people have a lot of issues. They've committed suicides, and a lot of people have committed murders, and people don't understand that. Like, they just say these people were crazy, but like, it takes something, some sort of catalyst to push them to doing these things, these heinous crimes, right? No one is born evil, right? It's the environment that creates evil. I feel like we should educate the younger and the older community together, because there is a big language barrier. A lot of kids, they don't know how to speak Nepali, and a lot of older people, they don't know how to speak English. So there's a language barrier. And the parents that came from these refugee camps, some of them, they didn't have education. They didn't have that opportunity to study. So all they know is work, work, and work. So all these people are working in the factories day and night. They're slaving away. And their kids, they don't even know what their kids are doing, because they're so busy, and they're so tired when they get back home, right, from these long 12-hour shifts. And they can't control their kids. And these kids, they're falling into wrong temptations, into drugs, into violence, a lot of different things, right? So I feel like we should educate kids and parents together to create a stronger bond between these kids and parents, so we can help fix these mental issues together. I do remember that when my dad was in the refugee camps, when he was very little, he would have to work 17, 18 hours a day. There would be times when there was no food at home, and he would have to take care of his whole family, right? I mean, grandpa and grandma, they weren't very literate, right? I mean, they didn't have the opportunity to. Most of us were farmers back then. So they all worked and worked and worked, and my dad helped put my aunt and uncle through college, so they have a better life, right? And especially when they came over to the United States, they put those hard work, they valued education, and they got degrees, and I think that was very beneficial for them. Well, I think it could relate from I mean, being in the refugee camps. I mean, so can you imagine you had everything you needed, and then everything you needed just got taken away from you, and then you had to start all over as almost second-class citizens, right? In Nepal, you weren't like a first-class Nepali citizen. We came as refugees, right? So we had to live in camps, so we didn't have all those same opportunities. And I heard stories of, I mean, even Nepalis to Nepalis, they were like racist, right? They didn't give the same opportunities just because we were refugees. And when they come here, I told you earlier, they're working. They don't have these easy, comfy jobs where they just sit on tables and like they can use their mind, right? They have to slave away with their body, right? And these people, they didn't come here when they were young. They came here when they were old, right? And they were working long hours already before, and now they're working long hours here. And that kind of, like, what are they working for? That's the question, right? It's so expensive now to live here, right? People have hard time buying house, buying car, all these interests, all this inflation. Food is getting so expensive, right? And what are they living for? All these people, most of them, they're gambling away their money. They have problems with their family. Domestic violence is a problem in the Nepali community, and they don't share any of this. They want to keep it all to themselves because they don't want to tell the community, right? Somebody will say this, somebody will say that, right? So they all keep those feelings locked away inside. And I think this is the catalyst that pushes somebody to suicide, because they are absolutely hopeless. They don't know what to do next.